It came and stayed. It picked up a cult following, people who've seen it a dozen times or more. They know the plot and all the lines backwards. They dress up like their favourite characters. They sing along and mime the words of the performers. The man who brought this monster to life is New Zealander Richard O'Brien, but he not only created the show, he also played the role of Riff-Raff, Frank-N-Furter's offsider. Morris Parker caught up with the man who breathed life into transsexual Transylvanians and gave birth to a piece of theatre history.
I'd say I'm a undereducated, non-intellectual, thin guy that's got very lucky, basically. Some people would say too lucky.
It's a trip to transsexual Transylvania.
You see, I always imagine that I look fabulous, you see. I always imagine that I look like the most incredible leading man that the world's ever seen, you know. And when I watch the film, I see my nose enter through the door first. There's a great honker coming through the door. That's not how I saw myself at all.
Richard O'Brien never really made it as an actor, but created a theatrical institution which spawned a cult movie. Richard is the creator of...
Rocky Horror Picture Show is wonderfully weird.
I was out at work and all I did was actually bake a cake. I stuck a lot of things together that I liked, a lot of ingredients that I liked.
And what were some of those ingredients which you sort of baked all together?
Science fiction films, B-movies mostly.
I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
Rocky Horror has been the most successful musical created anywhere in the world for the past 20 years. It ran on London's West End for a record 9 years, and the movie has grossed over $95 million worldwide. As Richard claims, not bad for a simple idea with a few gags.
There's a lot of things tied up together here. You have Babes in the Wood, the Old Dark House, you have the Frankenstein Dracula sort of legends, and bring them all together and change them around a bit and mix them up, you know, add in a few songs. That's basically what it is.
Come up to the lab and see what's on the slab.
Did you ever think the show was going to be this successful?
No. Nobody had any dream of a future for Rocky.
Do you think the Rocky Horror Picture Show was before its time?
No, the show was exactly on its time. Yeah, you can be too early and you can be too late. Neither of which are particularly wrong. It's nobody's fault. But time is of the essence, and you know, it was exactly the right time.
So give yourself over to absolute pleasure.
It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. But listen closely. Not for very much longer! I've got to keep control.
Do it!
This over-the-top musical brought fame and fortune to Richard, but his later efforts were not quite as successful.
Jim Sharman said to me, he said, of course, you know, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter whether you've written the best thing in the world. Actually, I must tell you this before it opens. It's, you know, you haven't got a chance in hell after Rocky. He says, the second one, never, you can't do anything right. And I thought, well, maybe he's been a bit pessimistic. But he was absolutely right. I've got absolutely smack down the middle. Half said, it's just another Rocky Horror show. And the other half said, if only he'd stuck to the Rocky formula. I couldn't, do you know what I mean? Just couldn't win.
It's just a jump to the left. Hey! And then to the right. With your hands on your hips. You're making the evening time. Raise the family time. There is a WTA. Let's do the time warp again. Let's do the time warp again.
Do you ever get sick of it?
Well, yes, I do in certain ways. I tire of watching the movie, but I have to go because the fans that are performing in front of the screen want me to go and see them and give them some encouragement. And so I do. But I can't say, I don't think it's a very good film.
Can you ever imagine a time when the show won't be on stage somewhere in the world?
No, because we've never even released the amateur rights to it yet, you know. Can you imagine? I'd love to be a fly on the wall in some little amateur, you know, team get-together. They've come in and Chipping Sodbury or somewhere or other. They say, excuse me, Colonel, there's a rather good part for you here. I think you could play this Frank-N-Furter. What's he like, then? Yes, he seems to be, that's quite a big part, isn't it? What's his fishnet stockings? Right, I think I slipped my foot into a high heel. No, I can't wait.
Richard O'Brien, creator of the Rocky Horror Show, and you saw Stuart Wagstaff there in the role of narrator. Well, he's stepping aside shortly, and Gordon Chater is going to fill his shoes in the Sydney production of the Rocky Horror Show. We'll be back on TWT after this break.